If you were lucky enough to see my previous video, you will have heard me talking about the original version of this instrumental classic as played by the band The Shantays. Today I'm talking about the way Johnny Thunders plays this tune. You can find the tune on his great solo album So Alone. That's well worth checking out. And the basic shape of the tune is the same. The melody is played in more or less the same way, but Thunders has dialed down the surf a little bit and turned up the rock and roll. There are plenty of classic Johnny Thunders guitar flourishes to be found in there. Lots of fun to play. I'm going to try and keep this reasonably brief, so let's get straight on with it. So if you've not seen my original video where I go through the Shantays version of this tune, you might like to check that out first, and there I go into some detail about the structure of the tune and the harmony and that kind of thing. In this video I'm going to focus mainly on the ways that Thunders version differs from the original version. So we're kicking off with this intro riff, and that's obviously very different from the Shantays straight away. With Thunders we've got none of this Alberti bass nonsense. We've just got a primitive rock and roll riff. It's nice and easy to play. We've got an E power chord. It's an open low E string and then second fret on the A string. Playing that twice, and then third fret on the low E. Maybe giving that a little bit of a pull sharp, and then we're playing that power chord one more time. So, and then we just repeat that. I'm playing that with all down strokes of the pick. And I think we repeat that 4 times, then we're into the main melody. And this is played almost exactly the same as the Shantays. The main difference is Thunders is throwing in this really nice little trill in there, a little embellishment, which is classic Johnny Thunders and really nice. But the basic melody is the same. We're starting on this B note, then we're going over onto the D string. It's open second, and then 4 2 open 2 4 2 4 2 again. Then we have this trill, which is just the open D string, and then I'm hammering down at the second fret, pulling off, hammer again, and pull off again. So before coming back to that B note. And you've got lots of these little Thunders flourishes. Between every phrase there's some kind of little slide or something that he tends to do. So at the end of that first phrase, just sliding up along the A string or the D string, it doesn't really matter where you slide up to, just and then come back down again. You hear that an awful lot in Thunders playing. Then the melody just moves over to the next pair of strings, exactly the same way we're playing it. And on that sustained note you can hear he's just bending it slightly sharp at the end of that phrase. Into the next section, and the first time we have this section of the song that the harmony is going from B to C. First time through, Thunders is just playing power chords. So we got a B power chord for a bar, and that's the second fret on the A, fourth fret on the D and the G. Moving that up 1 fret to a C power chord, 2 3 4, back again to B, 2 3 4, C, 2 3 4, back to B. Playing the third fret on the low E, just again pulling that note slightly sharp. Resolving to an A power chord, it's open A string, second fret on the D and the G. And then a little tremolo picked slide down, just like on the Shantays, and I'm not sure exactly where he's doing that from. It could do that on the A string or on the low E string, doesn't particularly matter. So that's the power chord section of the tune. Mainly I think those power chords are just held for 4 beats. But you could throw in some quick down up downs at the end of each bar. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2. So you're just anticipating the change a little bit. On the and of 4, you're moving to the new chord and just doing a quick down, up, down with the pick. Got a re-intro, and then we're into the melody again. Now I think he plays this melody 4 times. There are 4 verses. Each time there are some slight differences, so he's got different little slides or embellishments or flourishes. So I think you can listen to the record and try and pick out a few of those. I think my favourite is in the final verse where he does something like this. He's sliding up to this E shape up at the 12th fret. So I'm just playing the 14th fret on the D, 13 on the G, 12 on the top 2 strings. Just slide up to that at the end of the phrase. That's a really nice variation, I think. And then in, I think, the 3rd verse, he's playing the whole melody with some palm muting. So, and that time you're leaving out the trill. Okay, in the second half of each verse, it's only in the 1st verse that we've got this power chord stuff when it's going from B to C. In all of the other verses, he's outlining that B to C by playing this riff at the 7th and 8th frets. And this is a real classic Johnny Thunders lick. And I suppose he got it from people like Chuck Berry. It's a kind of a staple of early rock and roll, this lick. And it's based off of a double stop on the top 2 strings. I'm playing here at the 7th fret, and then I've got a bend at the 9th fret on the G string. So we're just going between the bend and the double stop. And you can start with the bend or you can start with the double stop. And this is what he's playing over the B. We're at the 7th fret, and I'm thinking in and around this E form bar chord. It's a B major chord at the 7th fret. We've got a bar's worth of that. Then we're moving up 1 fret to C and doing the same kind of thing. Doing that twice, then we're coming back to B. Staying there for an extra bar, and then we're finishing with this, which is a unison bend in the 5th position. So 5th fret on the B, and then I'm bending the 7th fret on the G. And all of this is played pretty loosely. It's a bit hard to hear the exact rhythm. I think there are at least 2, if not 3 or 4 guitars doing the same thing at this point on the recording. So you can be fairly loose as long as you've got a bar's worth of this kind of thing. That then leads us into the only other bit of the tune that I need to talk about, and that's the bridge section. And this is outlining the chords A, G, F, G. This is exactly the same as the chantés, and then it goes round again. A, G, F, and then E. And Thunders is just approaching this by playing little 3-note triad shapes on the D, G and B strings. So this is 7th fret on the D, 6 on the G, 5 on the B. The rhythm is something like this. Moving down 2 frets to G, down to F, and back to G. It just goes round again. seems to end on that shape moved up to the 12th position, like an E triad. And then the whole thing goes round again. Let me talk a little bit about the gear I'm using in this video. Oh, this old thing. Yes, it is indeed a new guitar, a new Les Paul. It's not actually a new Les Paul, it's a second-hand guitar, but it's new to me. And I've actually been on the lookout for a nice classic Les Paul for a while, something that rocks, something with humbuckers to fill that humbucker-shaped hole in my guitar collection. And this is what I found. I'll probably do a video on this guitar at some point soon where I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but this is the guitar I'm using today. From there I'm going into my Rocket Archer overdrive pedal, got the gain pretty high on that pedal today, and from there I'm going into my Fender Deluxe amp. So I think it sounds pretty good for this video, but to be honest I need to sit down properly with this guitar and get to know what it's capable of and get to know what pedals it likes and what amps it likes. I'm going to try and do that very soon. So that's how you play Johnny Thunder's version of Pipeline. If you'd like an amazing backing track to this tune to play along to, then you'll have to make your own, because I've not done it, I'm afraid. I spent so long making the backing track last week for the Shantae's version of this tune that just didn't have the time to do it. So I suggest you play along with the record instead. That's just as good, if not better, than playing along to a backing track. Enjoy learning the tune. I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.